Alright. Good morning, everyone. First things first, I'd like to introduce myself as well as my team. I'm Juliana Howe.
I'm Abby.
I'm Sabrina.
I'm Ty.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Ito.
And we are Synergy Solution Consultants. Now, today, we're going to talk about what it means to be a yellow personality, and what better way to do that than to use a character that just lives and breathes enthusiasm. I'm talking about Buddy the Elf. Now, what exactly does it mean to be a yellow personality? So there are a handful of characteristics that, when put together, they're either positive or negative, can be identified as a yellow personality type. And the first one is happy. These people have just a radiating energy, positive energy that is infectious to those around them, and a sense of adventure that takes them on journeys such as Buddy the Elf does when he goes to New York. They can also be impulsive. Now, this is one of the negative characteristics, and although it does mean that this makes them have that sense of adventure, it also is a drawback. Guys, I'll fix these. Outgoing. It's no surprise that yellow personality types are often the life of the party, and this makes them. Sorry, guys. One of my favorite examples of Buddy the Elf being outgoing is that he tries to befriend everyone in New York City. And finally, they can often be very irresponsible. Now, as is seen in the movie, when Buddy finally gets his job, he can't follow the basic rules and ends up redressing all the mannequins instead of trying to do what he was told. And because of this, it's both negative but also means that often they are so outgoing and always on the move, always coming up with new ideas and thinking outside the box. But how exactly does Buddy the Elf represent yellow?
So I'm going to explain why we chose Buddy the Elf and also how he represents the color yellow. So who is Buddy the Elf? Well, if anyone has seen the movie, Buddy the Elf is basically a real human who was raised as an elf in the North Pole, and he decides that he wants to get a sense of belonging in his life, and that he realized he wasn't actually raised by his father, his real father, so he decides to travel to New York City and find his father in hopes to create a family and spread Christmas joy. So we'd say the theme of this is joy, the theme of the movie, and we decided to choose this character for the color yellow because he ultimately represents the color yellow in so many ways. He's very impulsive, he's very irresponsible, like Juliana said, and he is also very just spontaneous and very outgoing and happy. Same with enthusiastic as well. So there's so many traits that represent him as well as so many traits that represent the color yellow. So a couple of examples we chose for why he represents yellow is that he spontaneously chose to go to New York City all the way from the North Pole and travel there in hopes of finding his father. He also is very happy because he spreads Christmas joy 24/7. And yeah, those are just a few examples.
To move on to the color yellow strengths and weaknesses, there are many of them, but one of the strongest strengths is that they are very enthusiastic. They live for having fun, and they are very optimistic and have a positive outlook on life. They can be described as someone that is a happy-go-lucky person. They, like I said, they have a very positive outlook on life. They can be easily forgiving of others, and for their negatives, because of their easily forgiveness and super optimism, they can lead to be naive, and they also can be very disruptive because they are always looking for fun and seek attention and validation from others sometimes, and this can make them unreliable because they are constantly looking for something fun to do, and their attention can be easily drawn to other places. Now we would like to discuss some of their verbal and nonverbal communications.
Um, Buddy's vocabulary and syntax are simple and straightforward, reflecting his childlike innocence. And his word choices are enthusiastic and I'll say that is it enthusiastic, and the word he uses is the simple and decorated. The sentences he uses makes seem more like dialects and simple, such as like I'm a many-headed hammer, or as shown in the slide, I'm so excited. This is consistent with his impulsiveness and spontaneity. He used his words without thinking about the consequences, and often leading to the funny or kind of awkward situations. He also uses a just sketch without almost spontaneously to express his emotions to his family. And the yellow color code of the bodies is kind of evident in his verbal communication style and the tactics. His way of using his words straightforward and the simple syntax, and also a just sketch, all contribute to express his spontaneity and also the charismatic personality.
So Buddy is a very energetic and outgoing kind of person. This comes with a lot of nonverbal cues. To express this, Buddy uses his tone and dancing. Imagine if Buddy was to say, "I love smiling, smiling's my favorite." You might think he's messing with you or not being serious. Instead, Buddy uses a very energetic and upright tone to express his happiness. On top of that, Buddy also got a job and was supposed to be working. Instead, he started a dance party downstairs. Obviously, when you get a new job, you want to be on top of your work and trying your hardest to do your best. But Buddy lets his emotions get to him, and this just goes to show his impulsiveness. On the next slide, it shows the same clip of this.
What, Chuck? I mean, what could be going on down here that's so important you had to interrupt me? What?
So obviously, it's a probably working mailroom, and Buddy comes in, and his happiness just gets contagious to everybody and makes everybody start dancing and part of his party.
What, Chuck? I mean, what could be going on down here that's so important you had...
As we talked about before, happiness and spontaneous are two key traits in a yellow person, and Buddy is a perfect example of those. First, I want to show a clip that kind of explains his happiness and his spontaneous.
Time for a announcement. Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town. Oh, my God. Santa here? I know him. I know him.
As you can see in the clip, he's extremely enthusiastic, extremely happy about the idea of Santa coming, which kind of shows he's a happy person. And another thing is here is he's in the middle of a store with customers around. He's super spontaneous, just starts screaming and yelling about Santa's coming, which kind of shows how he describes these traits perfectly. Then finally, Buddy is a happy elf. Yellow is the type of person who radiates enthusiasm, passion, and energy, and that can be seen all throughout the movie. A few examples of these are in these clips here. One example is while Buddy is crossing the street, he's jumping across, which can be seen as irresponsible, but at the same time, super spontaneous and just something that not normally someone would do, which kind of describes him as a yellow person. Another example is when he says, "I'm in the store and I'm singing," which shows he's super impulsive, and as he says, he's in a store and he's singing. And finally, when he says, "I love you, I love you, I love you," that's an example of his happiness and enthusiasm. And these are all just examples of how Buddy is a yellow person and how a yellow person radiates these characters as happiness, irresponsible, also spontaneous, and then also impulsive. And then, thank you for watching.